Now, in the Pause for Thought video, we looked at the fact that people go inside what's called a transderivational search, and they look at images in their mind's eye, they talk to themselves, they remember sounds, and they create feelings based on these to decide what they think about something. And when they do that, we pause for thought. Now, we've also looked at the idea that people mark stuff unconsciously, and the fact that they will draw things out for you. Remember the mountains? They were so for skiing down, they were great, and the sun glinting off the top, and they will draw their images. So people have images, and they will show you where they're located in space, and they will go inside their mind and look at them. Now, from the eye accessing cues model from NLP, we know that when people look upwards, they are visualizing. Now, sometimes people will defocus their eyes. They will maybe keep looking straight ahead, their eyes will defocus, and they will be looking at an image inside their mind. Now, if somebody's defocused their eyes, they're making an image inside their mind, and you're talking, and you say, "Oh, isn't this great? Isn't that wonderful?" Well, you're putting your hand maybe straight through their image. You're knocking their picture out of their mind. Now, certainly when I perform as a magician mind reader, when I induce amnesia in people for their own name, so that they forget their name, I always go for visual people, highly visual people. A lot of it has to do with the hypnotic language that I'm using and the suggestions that I'm giving. I always finish with a little gesture. It's completely gone. How weird is that? Knocking any image that they may have out of their mind. And these kind of gestures, you can knock pictures and images, you can knock somebody's thoughts out of their mind by doing this. And of course you can utilize this if you want to remember the quotes, if you say something and then want to make that a quote and step out of that, attribute that to other people, and want to step out of that, you can, well, that's shocking, isn't it? Oh dear. I mean, some people are like that. You can utilize this to knock images out, step out, attribute it to other people. However, you don't want to knock a thought out of somebody's head when it is a thought that you want them to have. Now, gestures are important for conveying information. When you use gestures in your communication, other people remember it better. There's some interesting studies done here where people have been videotaped whilst doing a simple activity. Then afterwards they were asked, again videotaped, they were asked to describe what they did. And in describing what they did, their hands, they gestured, they made gestures which were similar to the activity that they were doing, as though they were miming to some degree the activity. Now the interesting thing here is that a group of people were filmed and they made these gestures. Now there were also in that study group people who were blind. And the people who were blind made exactly the same style of miming, pantomimic gestures, of acting out the same behaviour. Yet they couldn't see the gestures. So the experiment was taken a stage further, and the audience were people who couldn't see. So there's a person that couldn't see, and his audience or her audience also couldn't see, yet they still did the same gestures, even though nobody in the room could see, apart from the video camera. And then the next experiment that was carried out in this series was where they had people look at a cartoon and then describe the cartoon. Now, when they had people describe this cartoon, when they had them not use any hand gestures, compared to the group of people who were allowed to use hand gestures to illustrate, the group of people that weren't using hand gestures later on the next day were less able to recall the information than the people who had used hand gestures. So not only does it help illustrate your point to others, and have them remember more clearly, but also it allows you to remember what you said more clearly, which of course is useful for the next time you talk to the same people or person about the thing you were talking about before. You have a better memory of it. So gestures are used to help illustrate your point. So using good gestures, whilst you're painting a picture to somebody else, will help communicate your message in a fashion that they remember better. So they are able to get more from the communication. They remember, they understand, they can see what you're illustrating in a much clearer fashion. So today I want you just to observe other people's gestures and to observe your own gestures, and to be aware that the more congruent gestures that you use in communication, the better your audience will remember. And also to be aware of the fact that you can knock images out of people's minds with big gestures that knock the pictures out of their mind. You might want to do that, or you might not want to do that. Have fun with this today.